Hello, I'm just situating my camera. Sorry for the face. Great. So while I'm doing this, I'm just going to explain. So we're doing a stretch class tonight, a live stretch class, and we'll get started in about 2 minutes. When everyone joins in, hello, just situating my camera. Okay. Usually I do this beforehand, but I did not this time. All right, so like I mentioned in the comments, you'll either need your mat or a rug, and then you'll need a pillow or a cushion that you have, or a towel or a throw blanket that is folded or rolled up. Just something to kind of support our head and our back a little bit as we go into this kind of unwinding stretch class that we're doing right now. So the goal is to ultimately just let our body relax to the deepest state that it possibly can, and to fully relax in each position that we move through. So it's not going to be a super intense stretching class. It might feel intense if you're really tight, but the goal is to really just breathe through all of the stretches and to let our body sink really deeply into these poses. If you saw the yoga journal, beginner's guide to yoga that I posted earlier this week, actually that was last week. If you saw that, then you'll kind of recognize some of these poses that we're going to be doing tonight, because those are good stretches for us to get into and to kind of let our body really sink into, and it should feel good, hopefully, to most of our bodies. So yeah, it is 6 o'clock now. I'll stop talking and we'll get started. We're going to start on the ground, and we're just going to start with our pillow or our throw blanket or whatever you have handy at the end of your mat. So go ahead and set that up. It's gonna kind of seem like we're taking a nap, and we kind of are, but in a different kind of way. So go ahead and lay back. You want just your neck to be supported on this cushion or throw blanket or whatever you have available to you. And we're just going to really let our back and our hips press into the mat. So we're indenting our spine and our hips into our mat right here. And you can either have your knees bent or you can have them straight, whatever feels good to you. We're just going to start here and work our way up through the poses. So as we're laying here on the ground, we're going to start breathing through our nose and try to fill our belly with air. Really try to expand your stomach towards the ceiling and let it fall back down and pull your belly down towards your spine. So we inhale through our nose and really let that belly expand. And exhale, draw your belly back down towards your spine. Really use your abs to press the rest of the air out. And again, inhale. And exhale. On your own time, feel free to take a few more deep breaths in this position. Just breathing through the nose, filling your belly with air. There's Odin. Odin. Kayla, can you call Odin? Odin. Such a camera hog, I swear. Just kidding. And once you've taken a few more deep breaths, we're going to hug one of our knees into our chest. So we're going to start with the right knee. Go ahead and hug that right knee in, and feel free to bring this left knee up to a bent position as well, whatever feels best for your body. I'm going to keep mine straight just to get a little bit of a deeper stretch here. But you're going to pull that knee in towards your body, and then you're going to release that knee a tiny, tiny bit before you pull it back in again. So we're really just warming up the leg a little bit, getting it ready for movement, for a larger movement that we're going to be doing. And now we're going to hold our knee in towards our chest. And what I want you to do is I want you to activate your hamstrings, and I want your hamstring to try and pull your leg back down towards the ground. So it's kind of like a little battle between your arms and your leg. Which one's going to win? We're trying to keep that hamstring activated. Make sure you're breathing, and we're trying to press that leg down towards the ground. And And go ahead and release that struggle. Go ahead and pull that knee back into your chest. We'll do that one more time. So go ahead and activate your hamstring, and it's going to try and pull your leg away from you. So again, it's that internal struggle. And then release that leg. Now we're going to extend our leg as straight as it will go. Since it's the first movement that we're doing, you might be a little tight. You might have to have that knee bent. I certainly do right now, so whatever feels good, you can have it straight or not. Remember, we're not trying to like whack our leg around. We're not trying to get into any crazy positions just yet. We're just warming up. So from here, we're just going to do that same thing. We're going to pump our leg in and out with our arms. So the leg is not doing any work right now. It's all the arms, just moving that leg in and out. And now we're going to hold that leg in and activate your hamstring again as you try and pull that leg away from yourself. Try and pull it down towards the ground. So your arms and your leg are fighting once again. Who's going to win? And then you should notice as you release that hamstring, go ahead and release that fight, you might get a little more range of motion when you pull your leg back towards your chest. So it's a good way to warm up the hamstrings, it's a good way to warm up the hips. We're going to do that one more time. So again, go ahead and hold on tight as you press with your hamstring towards the ground. Really try and fight to get that leg down as much as you can. And gently release that leg. Again, you might notice it gets a little more range of motion here. And when you're ready, go ahead and lower that leg back down. We're going to move on to our left leg. Again, you can keep that right knee bent if you would like, or you can extend it. I'm going to extend it straight on the ground, and we'll start with that left knee bent. We're just moving in and out with our hands. Nice and gentle. And go ahead and hold that knee into your center. We're getting ready to have that little battle with our arms and our legs. So activate the hamstring and try and push that leg away from your arms. Your arms are trying to pull the leg back in. So hopefully it ends somewhere in the middle. Keep that resistance going. Keep it going. Keep it going. They're fighting. And go ahead and release that leg. Hug that knee back in. We're going to do that one more time. So using your hamstring, go ahead and fire it up. Pull the leg away from your arms. Try and lower that leg all the way down to the ground. Your arms are trying to hug it into your chest. We're just warming up the hips and the hamstring a little bit doing this exercise. And gently release that leg back in. Now we're going to extend this left leg, again, only as straight as your body will allow it to go right now. If it's super bent like mine is, then that's totally fine. If you're able to get it more straight, that's fine too. Wherever your body is telling you to go and be right now, that's what we want. So now we're going to do that same little pumping in and out with our arms. Just warming up the hips a little bit. Nothing crazy is happening yet. We're just trying to warm our body up. And now we're going to hold that knee into our center. And we're going to fire up the hamstring and try and pull the leg away from your chest. So we're trying to push that leg down towards the ground. And those arms are trying to pull your leg back. So you should feel some resistance from that leg. It shouldn't just go straight back to your chest. And gently release that leg back in. We're going to do that once more. So try and pull that leg a little bit lower in the stretch before we activate that hamstring again. You might notice you get a little more range of motion after you do that little resistance exercise. And that's just because we're warming our legs up nice and slowly. So now we're going to activate that hamstring to try and pull that leg down towards the ground. Keep that fight going, keep it going. You're gonna feel yourself start to warm up even though we're doing so little. looks like. And gently release that leg back in. Again, try and pull that leg a little lower in the stretch. Maybe you get some more range of motion there, maybe you don't. Whatever happens is okay. Go ahead and lower that leg back down and go ahead and bend those knees together now. I'm going to walk my feet out about as wide as my mat, and I'm just going to let my knees sink in. So we're going to a constructive rest position. My elbows are going to cross over me, and just really enjoy this moment here before we move on to bigger stretches. We're just going to take this time real fast to kind of tune back into our breathing. And remember, this class is not a crazy stretching class. It's not about forcing yourself to get lower in the splits or anything like that. This class is really about trying to relax into each position and trying to create space in each position where your body feels comfortable and safe enough to sink lower into each pose. So take one more deep breath in this constructive rest position. And I'm going to go ahead and sit on up to my sits bones. So I'm going to rock myself up, and I'm going to move my cushion out of the way. Just for now, that cushion will come back. Again, if you just joined in, we do have a cushion or a pillow or a throw blanket that is folded up, something that we're using just to create some extra space where we need it when we get there. So for now, we don't need it. What we're going to do is we're going to go towards the back of our mat, and we're going to lift our heels, and I'm going into a forward fold position. So remember, in this position, you don't want to sink back in your heels. You want to try and keep your your weight traveling forward into the balls of the feet and the toes so that we're getting an active hamstring stretch. So those hamstrings that we were just warming up, you're going to feel them activate here as you hang over your legs. And let's take a bend in the knees and stretch. Again, let's bend and stretch. Let's take one more deep bend. And as we do, walk those hands in front to a downward facing dog. We're going to press those heels down and lift the hips towards the ceiling. And from here, feel free to tread through those feet, lifting one foot and then the other, starting to warm up the calf muscles. And now I'm going to plant both my heels back down. I'm going to tuck my pelvis and ripple through my spine, going to a plank position. I hold my plank nice and strong here. And then I'm going to reverse, so I'm going to tuck my head and reverse ripple through my spine all the way down to my downward facing dog. So we're just warming the spine up. We're also getting the core involved. The core is working as we hold our plank and press ourselves forwards and backwards. Again, reverse ripple, downward facing dog. Let's do this 2 more times. Tuck the pelvis, ripple out to your plank. And reverse ripple, downward facing dog. And last one, tuck the pelvis, roll out to your downward, or to your plank, excuse me. And reverse all the way back to your downward facing dog. From here, I'm just going to send my hips straight down towards the ground, so I keep lowering my hips through this plank position, going to an upward facing dog. So my quads are engaged, my core is activated, and I'm pushing down with my hands and my shoulders. Nice long spine. And go ahead and drop your knees down. I'm going to press back into a child's pose, so my knees go out nice and wide. And bring it back up. We're going to drop those hips towards the ground again, going back to that upward facing dog or cobra pose, if you will. Nice long spine, shoulders are pushing down. And let's bring it back to our child's pose. Hips sink back, knees go out wide, belly sinks through. And let's take that right arm. We're going to thread it underneath your left shoulder. And take that left arm, maybe you can open it up and bind it behind yourself so you get a deeper stretch while you're here. Try to really open that chest up towards the ceiling as much as you can. And bring that arm back down through center. Let's bring that right arm through center and switch sides. Left arm threads under the right. Maybe bring that right arm around behind you, try and bind it so you can open that chest up even more. And lower that arm back down. And I'm going to bring myself up to a tabletop position. So my hands are right underneath my shoulders, my knees are right underneath my hips. And we're in a nice, strong, four-legged, if you will, position. My hips are going to drop towards the mat, and we're going to inhale as we go into our cow. And exhale. Arch the spine going to your cat. Inhale. Drop the belly towards the ground. Exhale. Arch the back going to your cat. 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Find a nice neutral spine here. And now we're going to take a lateral stretch. So I'm drawing my ear towards my hips. One direction, my back does not arch or sink. And go the opposite direction. Let's do this a few times in each direction. Twice more. And last one, each side. And now I'm going to keep my hands where they are. I'm going to tuck my toes and lift my pelvis towards the ceiling, going to a downward facing dog once more. Again, if you would like, you can tread through those feet. And go ahead and plant those heels in the ground. I'm going to lift my right heel up, and my hips stay nice and parallel here. I'm just finding a balance, finding a deep stretch in that left leg that is grounded. And now go ahead and open up that top hip and send that leg towards the ceiling, getting a deeper stretch in that standing leg. And I'm going to pull that knee all the way through my hands. Find a nice runner's lunge position with that foot grounded. You want to make sure that that knee is directly above your ankle here. And press that left hip down towards the ground. From here, let's extend that right leg as straight as it will go. And re-bend into that knee. Let's do that one more time. Extend through that leg. And bend into that knee. I'm going to drop my left knee all the way down into the mat. From here, I'm going to activate my quad and lift that knee up, but my foot You can see here my foot is pointed and the top of my foot is on the ground, so it's no longer tucked. I'm going to activate my quad, lift that leg up and hover right there. This should be a little bit of work for you, but it should also be nice on the hip flexor of that left hip. And lower that knee back down. Let's do that one more time. Lift that knee off the mat and hover above the mat. And lower back down. From here, I'm going to re-tuck my left foot on the ground, lift that leg back up, and send my right leg back to my downward facing dog. And you can tread through those heels once more. And let's take that left leg now. We're going to lift it up, keep those hips parallel. And now go ahead and open up that left leg. From here, let's bend that left knee, pull that foot through your hands, finding a runner's lunge on the opposite side. Make sure that knee is directly above your ankle and feel this stretch right here. And extend through that left leg. Try and send it as straight as it will go. And go ahead and re-bend into that knee. We're going to do this once more. Extend through that left leg. And re-bend into that knee. Go ahead and drop that right knee all the way down to your mat. And I'm going to untuck my toes so that the top of my foot is resting on the mat. From here, again, we're going to activate that quad and lift your kneecap off the mat so your quad is holding that leg off the ground. It should feel good in that hip flexor. And lower that knee back down. We're going to do this one more time. Go ahead and activate that quad. We're going to lift that knee off the mat. Keep that leg as straight as it will go. And lower that knee back down. Go ahead and re-tuck those toes. We're going to lift that right leg up, send that left foot back, and we're in our downward dog once more. From here, let's go ahead and pull our right knee towards our hands, finding a nice pigeon pose, like so. So again, our pigeon pose, we try to keep those hips nice and square, and that left leg is extended straight back behind you. That left hip is trying to drive itself down towards the ground. Once you are settled in, feel free to grab that pillow or that throw blanket or whatever you have available to you now and place it in front of you. Because what we're trying to do now is we're trying to get comfy in this position and allow our body to relax completely into that position. So we're trying to really create space in the hips, create space in all the muscles in those legs that are working, and really make your body feel safe as we sink lower and work on this stretch. So once you find a nice comfortable position here in pigeon pose with those hips square, that left hip dropping towards the ground, we're going to try and send our head towards the corner of the room as we lengthen forward and lay flat down on that cushion or on that blanket or whatever you may have in front of you. Try and really push that hip down towards the ground and settle into this position for a few moments. So this is one of those stretches that I talked about in an earlier video. It's an active stretch because we shouldn't just be plopping ourselves down here. We want to make sure that there's still work that's happening, such as pushing that hip down, such as opening those hips actively. The right leg should be opening as we're sitting here. You're gonna feel a bunch of things happening, even though it doesn't look like we're doing anything. Make sure you're still breathing while you're here. I recently woke up from a nap, so this feels really good. Makes me sleepy again. And take a few more deep breaths in this position. And let's go ahead and bring ourselves back up. We're going to gently bend into that left knee that is behind us. We're going to try and pull that foot in so you're making two 90-degree angles with your knees. If you need to pull one leg closer to your body or the other one, feel free to. Whatever's comfortable for you here. And I'm going to move this pillow back behind me. I'm going to adjust a little bit so that I can show you what's going on here. So in this position, we're going to try and activate and get into that hip flexor here, and we're going to try and stretch that out. A lot of us carry a lot of tension in our hips, and I am one of those people included. So we're going to try and release some of that tension and stress that we put on our hips on a daily routine, So go ahead and have that pillow ready behind you. We're going to carefully walk ourselves back. Allow that hip to start opening up. You're going to feel a little pull in there. And if you are ready to keep going, you can still lower yourselves lower, maybe onto your pillow, and release yourself all the way down into this position. So really allow that hip to open up as much as you can. Maybe give it a little massage, remind it that it's going to be okay, no matter how painful this may be. We don't want it to hurt too much. Make sure you're still breathing through this exercise. Take a few more moments in this stretch. If it's uncomfortable, feel free to ease the tension a little bit by coming up onto those elbows like so. You can always do this, or if you're happy laying flat back, then you can stay right where you're at and just allow this position to do its job and release all that stress that's in that hip flexor. Go ahead and gently bring yourself up. If you have to rock around the world, going to the right side to help you get up, feel free to do so. And very gently release this knee from behind you. I'm going to go through a butterfly position now and just kind of counteract that hip opening stretch here. So now our leg is traveling the other direction. And I'm going to fold forward. Again, if you would like the pillow, you may grab it. I don't know if I'm going to need it because I don't know if I'm going to fold forward enough during this stretch right now. But we're going to try and push our knees down in this butterfly position. Our feet are pressing together, and we're going to lower ourselves over your feet. So again, we're just counteracting that stretch that we just did with our hip to try and make it feel better, and also not just put too much tension in one area, and we're trying to balance it out. And while we're here, let's all take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, try to sink deeper into that stretch. Using your hands, maybe pull yourself lower over your feet. and gently release yourself back up. So now we're going to go onto our right side. So I'm going to just switch my left leg forward. My right leg is going straight back behind me in my pigeon pose. And we're trying to press that right hip down towards your mat. So we're trying to find nice square hips here. That right hip is pushing down towards your mat. And we're trying to find nice length here before we fold forward into our pigeon pose position. So go ahead and grab your pillow or your blanket that you are using, and we're going to reach our head towards the corner of the room, create space in your spine as you lean forward. Once you are situated properly, go ahead and relax onto that pillow or that blanket and try to push that right hip down. So again, we're staying active. Even though it looks like not much is happening, so much is happening. Like your hip pushing down, like your hips opening up to the stretch. We're just trying to allow the door to open and bring in all those benefits that this stretch brings to you. And he's back. He just wanted to be involved. Let's take a few deep breaths in this position before we bring ourselves back up. And when you are ready, go ahead and lengthen through the spine, bring yourself back up. And we're going to, again, bend that back knee and keep this front knee bent. I'm going to rotate a little bit so that you can see what is happening. So our knees should be in about a 90-degree angle. If you can, or if you would like to, you can also bring your legs closer to your body, and that'll sometimes help relieve some of the strain that you feel. The wider that your legs are, it's going to change up the stretch from if your leg is closer to your body. So again, I'm going to move my pillow behind me, and I'm finding a position that feels good because we're targeting this right hip flexor now. So I'm going to start to walk my hands back. You might start to feel a little bit of pressure. That's okay. Maybe you keep lowering yourself down to your forearms, and if all is going well so far, you can lower yourself completely down onto that cushion or that blanket that you are using, and really feel that right leg and that right hip start to open up. Just remind yourself to keep breathing through this stretch. I know it can be intense for some of us. Let's tune back into our breathing while we're here. Sometimes it's easy to forget that we're using our breath to help us through an exercise. So with each exhale that you take, I want you to think about trying to release tension in a different part of your body. So with each of my exhales, I'm really trying to just allow this hip to open up a little bit further and allow my hips to sink a little bit closer to the mat. Just think about something or some area where you want to allow more relaxation and to try and really release deeper into the stretch. And use your exhale, use your breath to help you get there. And after this last deep breath that you take, you're going to try and bring yourself back up to a seated position, whether you use your forearms to prop yourself up or maybe rock yourself around to the left to bring yourself all the way up, and gently release that leg around to the front. We're going to bring our feet back together in that butterfly position, and those feet are pressing together, those knees are going to actively be pushing down towards your mat, and again we're going to lengthen through our head as we lower over our feet. Just opening those hips up. And now let's release halfway. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, walk those hands out a tiny bit further. Try to sink deeper into this stretch. And go ahead and bring yourself on up to a seated position. I'm going to move my cushion out of the way once more, and I'm going to flip over onto my belly. From here, I'm going to reach back my right hand, and my right ankle is going to reach towards my hand. I'm going to grab hold, and you can just get a stretch here, or you can try and push that foot into your hand, and that's going to lift your body up a tiny bit on that right side. It's that same concept of the internal struggle that we did earlier in this class. And release that leg back down. We're going to do that one more time, and push that foot into your hand, lift. And release that foot back down. From here, you can either hold on to your foot or you can release it as we do this, but what you're trying to do is you're going to extend that left leg and you're going to reach around with that right foot, plant it on the ground, and you can either hold on here or you can just use this hand to support the body being in this position. We're just getting a stretch here. And roll back over onto your belly. Now we're going to use our left hand with our left foot. And we're going to push into our hand and gently lift that leg off the mat. And release back down. We'll do this once more. Push that hand and foot together, lifting that leg a tiny bit off the mat. And release it back down. Now extend that right arm. We're going to take this left foot around behind us. Again, you can take your arm with it or not. Plant that foot completely in the ground if you can, and just let that hip open up a tiny bit more in this stretch. And gently bring it back onto your bellies. From here, I'm going to use my hands to lift myself up into a cobra pose. Press those shoulders down the spine. And bend into your knees, press those hips back, going to a child's pose once again. Those knees go out nice and wide and sink the belly through center. And we're going to press our weight into our hands. Go ahead and tuck those feet and extend them into a plank this time. From here, what we're going to do is I'm going to start by taking my left foot and crossing it underneath my right. So I'm kind of twisted in this plank position. You can stay here if you would like, or you can start to rotate yourself over to the right side of the room. Take that right arm up, almost like a side plank. If you are happy, you can stay here, or bend that right knee and open that chest towards the ceiling. So you can get a couple different stretches here, a couple different strengthening movements. When you've had enough, bring that arm back down, bring those legs back to a normal neutral plank position, and then we'll try that right side. So now I'm going to take my right foot, cross it under my left. Again, you can hold here, you can unwind, find a side plank here, or bend that left knee and press those hips up. And bring that arm around. Let's replace those feet and lower those knees back down. I'm going to flip over to my back once more. I'm going to take my pillow or your blanket or whatever you're using, place it at the end of my mat, and I'm going to lay flat back on this cushion. So we're going to start with that cushion under our necks, and my knees are going to be bent here. We're going to find that constructive rest position once more. So walk your feet out to the edge of your mat. Go ahead and cross those arms, one on top of the other. And let's take a few deep breaths here. And go ahead and release those arms. I'm going to bring my knees back up to a parallel position. And I'm just going to cross one on top of the other, finding that figure four stretch. Really use the torque or the momentum that you have right here. Use the traction from the mat to try and push that hip down and open this right side up a little bit more. So push that knee down, open this right side up a tiny bit more. From here, you can stay right where you are, keep actively pressing that knee away, or you can start to lower this right foot towards the ground, taking a twist in the body. Once that foot is grounded, you can open those arms up in a T. And bring that leg back up. We're now going to open this leg out to the side, so keep that left knee where it is. It's pointing straight up. And just opening this right leg out to the side. Maybe you can grab that toe with your hands and go into a semi-peace pose. It's modified, it's on the ground, but we're opening that hip up just the same. Try and keep both hips grounded. And bring that leg back through center, planted in the ground. Now we're going to do that left side. Pick up that left leg, make the figure four, and we're going to use that knee to push down, actively opening this left side up a tiny bit more. And you can stay here, or you can drop that left foot completely to the ground. Try to keep both shoulder blades grounded. You're going to feel a stretch through the hip. And bring that knee back up. We're going to take this left leg, extend it out to the side. Maybe you grab that big toe going into a modified peace pose, and both hips should stay grounded. Go ahead and release that left leg back in. And now we're going to get ready to go into our Shavasana. So you can keep this cushion underneath you if you would like. We're going to extend those legs straight out on your mat. And go ahead and open those palms up to face the ceiling. Close the eyes and just tune back into your breathing. Hopefully this class felt good. Hopefully you were able to sink deeply into some stretches. You were able to release tension. I really wanted to focus on the hips today, so hopefully we got in there and were able to release some stress if you're carrying any. I know that I am, and I feel so much better after taking this class. You can remain in Shavasana for as long as you would like. I am going to get up and start moving around a little bit more, but I hope you enjoyed this class, and I'm probably going to be doing a strengthening class that's going to be lower body focused, so like glutes and hamstrings and quads. That's coming later this week, so keep an eye out for that, and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much.